What's going on? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the world options trading course. And so we're going to do this really quick video, and we're going to talk about how you could potentially get 1,000% returns in the options market, right? So this is going to be a really good video for a person who is interested in the options market, and they want to try to understand how can you potentially set yourself up for getting a massive return in the options market. And I'm not here to discredit 5, 20, 30, 40%, even 100% returns, because if you can get 100% return every time that you play a particular contract over the course of 52 weeks, you'll be rich, right? So we're not here to discredit that, but what we're going to do is focus on these massive returns, because I believe that there's something going on in the market, right? In which if you can take advantage of it, it can benefit you. And this does not take away from your, what I like to call your core companies or your Power 5, where we have specific companies that you trade on a regular basis. But there's certain things that happen in the market on a regular basis because of the behavior of the market, but really because of the behavior of the crowd, which puts you in a position, right, to really bring in a massive amount of revenue or to have massive returns in a relatively short amount of time every so often, right? And so let me tell you a really quick story. When we had that COVID-19 situation, I saw how I bought a put in the cruise line area for about 165. And I want to say about 5 days later, I sold that for, I want to say maybe $600, right? So you can go ahead and do the percentage of return on that. Then about that, as soon as I sold it, I bought another put for around $300. And about 5 days later, I sold that for like $900. But a week later, that same put was worth $1,800. And what I recognize is that if I would have had more capital, let's say $10,000, based on those returns, in about 2 to 3 weeks, I probably would have been sitting on $90,000, $80,000. And what I realize is that when you have certain kind of markets for a company, it puts you in a position to where you can drive in a lot of revenue extremely fast based on two situations. The market is either expanding very fast, right? Is running up with a lot of momentum, or the market is collapsing. And when you're looking at a collapsing market, if there's enough room, because we're talking about put contracts, we understand that the share price can never go under zero. So when we're understanding that if the share price is high enough when this thing starts to collapse, what's going on, Latoria? If you do me a favor, if you like the video, I would appreciate it. If the share price is enough room for it to fall really rapidly, what it does is that because of the momentum created from the fall, the premiums on the contract start to really go high. So when you have this expanding market like you currently see right now with Tesla, but also with Amazon, some people say Amazon's this really big expanding market that's expanding very rapidly. Or you have a market that's collapsing very rapidly, right? Like you have with the cruise lines and the airlines and also the casinos, but really with a lot of companies based on coronavirus. If you now look at the charts of a lot of companies between like February and late March, what you'll see is their share price did this. In a relatively short amount of time, a lot of companies lost literally 4 and 5 years worth of share value. So if you would have had put contracts on those companies, right when this thing started to fall, and you was able to have enough position size, you would have walked away with a really, really large amount of money, just based on the percentage return you would have got back and the position size. And so with me, a position size in the cruise line area would have probably been around $10,000. I probably could have walked away with $90,000 to $80,000, right? And I'd have been good for the rest of the year. And so we have to understand that these type of situations exist in the market, because if you really study sectors, right, there's always an area in which there's a company based on external situations. So let's say, for example, the Saudis sit down with the Russians and they say, you know what, because we don't like the current climate of the oil economy and we don't like how the Russians are trying to play with us over the bargaining table, we're going to pump a massive amount of oil for the next 90 days. And when they decide to do that, what happens to the oil companies? They fall, they start to lose a massive amount of value. But then what also happens to the shale companies? They lose a massive amount of value because the shale industry only exists if oil is expensive. You only can justify exploration and the capital expenditure of shale oil, and I mean shale, S-H-A-L-E, not S-H-E-L-L. You only can justify the capital expenditure behind that if petroleum oil is at a certain price per barrel, right? If it's not, then you can't justify it. So once the Saudis say, you know what, we're going to pump a massive amount of oil and we're going to flood the oil market and essentially lower the price per barrel of oil, the whole shale market falls under. So any company in that market, but not just the companies, the suppliers and the particular companies that are ancillary to that industry, they also go under. So what do we have now? We have a collapsing market. So these situations happen on a regular basis. You just have to be savvy to the situation. You also have situations in which a market expands. The markets are designed to always go up. So you're going to always get a company like Tesla. You're going to always get a company like Amazon. You just have to figure out, and not, I don't want to say figure out because I don't want to make it seem like you got to search for it. You just have to be aware of what the company is and then understand how to position yourself in that situation. And that's where you're going to get those massive returns from. I don't want to encourage you to chase the return. What I want you to understand is that the opportunity exists in the market. And these are the things that we're not exposed to. I know people that are right now, because I've been on a lot of message boards and I talk to a lot of different people. Because one thing about me is I'm about building relationships, and I know how to talk to people. Even though it may seem like I don't know how to talk to people, I know how to talk to people. And I know people that are currently not doing anything because of the amount of money that they made when the markets fell because of coronavirus. Because if you were sitting on a certain amount of capital at that time when you put it into the options market, or you shorted stocks, right? You came out on top, because with a lot of companies, especially the airlines and the casino industry, the banks pulled all their buy orders at lower price points. So when that thing started to fall, what the banks did was they did what we call a slow, I don't call it a slow float. They sold shares incrementally at a very slow rate to not scare the market off, but they allowed the share price to keep falling. So that's why you saw Carnival Cruise Line start around $50 and end up at $8. Why? Because all the buy orders from the banks were gone, because the banks, they just went out there and slowly sold all their shares over the process of 2 to 3 weeks to a month. So if you had puts at $35 or $40 and they were future dated going out into the future, because the first put I bought in March went out to July, and you let that thing go down to $8 probably around the end of March, you'd have been bringing back over 1,000% on that particular put, and you paid $165 to get in. So we take that $165 and we say, well, how many puts can we buy at $165 for $10,000? And then you get 1,000% return on each put, and you just do the math on that. So you got to understand that the potential is always there in the markets, because this particular mechanism in our economy is designed to, one, create this kind of wealth for people. This is what's been hidden from us. This vehicle, this particular vehicle that these people have created, is designed to create this kind of wealth. Elon Musk is making his shareholders wealthy right now. There's no telling whether or not he's going to be able to maintain what he's doing currently. But he's doing a great job as a CEO because he's making his shareholders wealthy. Because you have people that bought in that Tesla 10 years ago at $25. And Tesla right now is $1,500. So you say, hey, I hit an inheritance, or I came into a windfall of money. And 10 years ago, you had $10,000 and you bought as many Tesla shares as you could buy at a $25 price point for $10,000. And right now, each share that you bought at $25 is now worth $1,500. Right? The market is designed to create wealth for people, not just in the options market, but also in the stock market. And you have to understand that is the design of the market. So you just have to understand the environment that you're in, and the market is designed to expand and keep going up. It's not designed to go down. That's why when it goes down, it always works its way back up. It won't stay down forever. I don't care what these people tell you on the internet. Right? It's designed to come back up. So you have to understand the design of the market. What it was built to do was built to create wealth for investors. It was built to create wealth for owners. And the CEO of a company is judged by his ability to do that. And because of the environment and the rules of the particular game in the market, you can start to see opportunities where you can get a massive return in the options market in a relatively short amount of time, because you understand what is actually going on inside the market and how the market will continue to produce these scenarios. Why? because of what is going on in the market, but what is also going on in the minds of the people in the market, because that's really the most important thing. Their perception. People earlier today had a perception that Tesla was worth $1,700 a share. I don't know where the hell they got that from, but they got it inside their head that it's worth that. So it traded at that price point for a relatively short amount of time. It started to come back down. But for a moment, people was really been able to buy inside their head that I'm going to pay $1,700 for a share of Tesla, right? And they ain't even put an earnings report out yet. You don't even know if they're profitable, but you're willing to pay $1,700 because it's all in here. So Musk's job is to continue to convince the market that $1,700, right, is a great price to buy Tesla at. Why? Because you better get in now before it gets to $2,000. And if you bought in Tesla at $500, right, and it's selling for $1,500 to $1,700, that is a over 100% return on your money. And to be real with you, Tesla in March, because of coronavirus, was around $400. So you had people that bought in at $400 and are looking at it now at $1,500 in less than a year. That's why I said this guy has done a great job, right, of making his shareholders rich. We don't know whether or not he can sustain it. He got to really put a track record down. It's a long time before he becomes an Amazon or Apple or Visa or MasterCard or one of those type of companies. But as of right now, he's done a great job of making his shareholders rich because he understands the psychology of the market. So didn't want to get off track. I'm starting to ramble a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and get out of here. But I wanted you to understand that these particular opportunities exist. I would encourage you to start to understand not just the technical aspect of the market, but the psychological aspect of the market, and understand how you can position yourself right in front of these opportunities and take advantage of them. And it's not to take away from what I call your core companies that you trade on a regular basis. It's a add-on to what you're doing. It's not designed to make you get distracted by it. It's an add-on because these opportunities are going to show up 2, 3, 4 times a year. You go in there, you get what you can get out of them, and you keep it pushing. If you know somebody that can get value from this, if you want your friends and your associates to actually be able to improve their life, I would encourage you to share this out to them. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, and I'll talk to you later.